Kids taxi driving.
So anyone that knows me knows that this car is a very special part of the family. So this is a Z4M Roadster, and it's very special because this car was owned by my dad. So I remember probably 6-7 years ago telling me that he wanted a little two-seater Roadster, it's like convertible, and he was talking about MX-5s. I managed to convince him to buy a Z4M, which was a wise decision. Unfortunately, we lost my dad a year and a half ago now, and there was a very clear instruction that I had to look after it, and he said don't ruin it. And not ruining a car is very subjective, I think. One person thinks is an improvement, someone else might think is ruining it, but we've done what I think is very important work on this car to make it better, mainly suspension. So it's had a set of KW V3s put on it. We've also put, well, I've also put wheel spacers on it. I think for me, it's a massive improvement. Obviously, handling wise, these cars are a bit wayward at the best of times. So in my opinion, a hugely important part of making a car better. This work was all actually completed last week. I wanted to put a couple hundred miles on the car to let all the suspension settle, but in these next videos, you'll just see the steps we went through to get the KWs fitted, obviously set up. There's been a bit of fine tuning since. The car still needs geometry, so that's a job that we're gonna do later on this week. But you'll see in the next videos how we've done it, and we'll walk you through the steps.
Morning, you.
Two big, strong guys in a Z4M. Hell, it's hot in that time.
It's blowing just at my toes. It's quite rigid, isn't it? No, it's not. It's not.
It feels nice on the road, but it's quite.
Yeah, it's when you hit a bump. Short, sharp bumps. It's a bit rigid. Yeah. No, it's handling wise. It's not.
Yeah, there's no. It's got rid of that front end sort of rolliness in it.
Yeah, it was doing this thing with what I thought was front arms when you hit a bump and you're not holding on to the steering wheel fully. It like shakes the steering wheel from left to right. I think it was where those shocks were original. It's only done 27,000 miles, but it's had however many years. What year is it? 2007. It's 20 years old, isn't it? 20-year-old shocks on that. But it is, the front end feels good, but where you're sitting,
softening the rear up a bit because you're sat on the rear actually.
yeah,
There's still the
that's what I was
front.
going to say. Where you're sitting over the back end, it's not bouncy, it's just too rigid. You just need to play around with the shocks and get them set up nicely.
So you've got compression and rebound on the shocks, so you need to find a happy medium between the both. Maybe different front to rear as well.
Yeah, the rear is already set softer, quite a lot softer than the front, but there's like 16 clicks on there of adjustment, so it's quite a lot of adjustment to play with. So yeah, need a little fiddle with it. Need to do that and set it up in alignment. Then it's good to go, hopefully.
Can we go really fast?
Carbon intake.
It feels alright at speed. No, everything's moving a bit.
Yeah. It's a bit, yeah, it does feel. It feels, the handling of these Z4s is unusual, I think is the best way to describe it. Like they're like bouncy. They're like, there's body roll, but it feels bouncy. You would have thought with it feeling stiff and bouncy, you get no body roll, but these just handle very odd. So I think it handles as it is now perfectly. No body roll left. So would you say improved or ruined?
It's improved. Improved, but requiring some adjustment.
Requires fettling to improve further. I think that's the thing with a car, when you've got a low mileage car, especially a car like this, that it means so much because it's obviously Dad's old car. You feel there's like an element of guilt of, have I improved it or am I improving it? But you would say improved.
I'd say improved.
Improved, but it needs fettling.
I think Keith would probably shake his head at first.
Yeah.
He'd know it was improved.
Well, his words were, don't use it, have it, but don't ruin it. But not ruining the car is quite subjective.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, lowering springs would have been ruining it.
lowering springs would ruin, yeah, cutting the springs.
Cutting the springs.
Lowering the springs, definitely ruining it. Putting it on KWs to improve the safety of it is the way that's my take. Improving the high speed stability and safety of it. Feels bouncy there, like rigid there, doesn't it? Especially with two grown adult males in it. A few butts on as well. Yeah. All in all, good. I think Keith would, the suspension, I think he would agree is a good idea, because he always said this handled a bit weird.
Yeah.
The carbon intake probably wouldn't have the same approval.
You'd struggle to argue that was a safety related.
I would argue it's more than that.
It sounds
Go
good
under a
already.
bridge though. That can That's only a good thing, isn't it? Been the wrong way.
Oh god, so is it?
Yeah. Little kids taxi driving. Perfection there. Brakes need a bit of attention on this car. I think their original discs on it all round. 20 years old. I just wanted to make sure you're okay. And
I feel safe, that's the main thing.
Good.
I feel very safe. More so than before the KW.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished. Next week,
See you later.
another edition of Matt.